As some of you might have figured out, I'm a big fan of the two-stroke platform. I've got a couple of them, but the time has finally come to step up the game and I've acquired a two-stroke motorcycle. So this is a Benelli 250 2C. It's, as you can see, a two-cylinder. So it's the first time I've owned something that has more than one cylinders being a two-stroke. Finally, it's a 250cc, which is not the biggest, but I think this thing will be a lot of fun. It's still very dirty because, as you can see, there's something missing over there. I had the Honda VFR and we've actually swapped bikes. So the VFR is gone and I've got this in trade. It's very dirty because the guy I've traded with rode it here in a very bad rainstorm, but that's no big deal. We will clean it up later on. A bit of details on this bike. Benelli is an Italian bike builder. It actually still exists today, but I think it's under another license or another company. This was one of three brothers that started Benelli. The other one has Moto Guzzi, and the third one ran Moto B back in the day. I don't think Moto B still exists, but they were three brothers that each built their own bikes. This bike is very similar, or it has been built in conjunction with Moto Guzzi, because Moto Guzzi has the 250 TS, which is a bit the same, but there are some differences. So the Moto Guzzi is the same as a Series 1 250 from Benelli. This is a Series 2. The biggest difference is the front brake disc, which is currently very rusty because of the rain, and it has the bike hasn't gotten out yet because I'm still waiting for registration. Series 1 has cast iron cylinders. This one has aluminum cylinders, which bumped up the power from 25 horsepower to 32 horsepower. So this one, Series 2, has 32 horsepower. So it's running a double Dell'Orto carb, which is nice. They are apparently a bit finicky to tune and get running right, but this thing runs right, so I don't think I will mess with them. Other than that, there aren't many strange features about this bike. It's pretty basic, it's pretty simple, but I kind of like it. It does have some issues. First off, it needs a very good clean, as you can see. Needs some new levers. The handlebars aren't original. I do have the original ones. The previous owner installed these. They are quite good looking, I think. It needs a light switch. The gas tank has been repainted. There is a bit of a color shift. The color isn't fully correct, but I think I will address that later on. One other issue is the kickstart axle is broken. I have a spare one because the bike came with a lot of spare parts. But the bike starts within a meter of pushing, so the previous owner rode it like that for 7 years. No big deal. There aren't many other issues that I can already tell because I'm still waiting for registration. I haven't ridden it a lot, so hopefully my license plate comes in pretty quick and I have a couple of days of nice weather so I can really test this thing. So 32 horsepower. This thing apparently almost uses the complete rev gauge, so I think he said it went to 8.5. We will definitely test that out. This bike is pretty interesting, I think. It will be a lot of fun to see what we can do with this thing, because it came with a lot of parts and it came with something special. Let me just grab it. So the bike came with a lot of spare parts, cylinders, brake shoes, some car parts. But most importantly, this thing came with a full racing fairing. So we have an extra seat, a hand-welded aluminum gas tank, and a full racing fairing, which is pretty cool looking in the Italian colors. It also came with back-mounted steps and some filters. When running this fairing, you have to remove the air filter box, so it has some aftermarket air filters. Also a spare engine case with a full transmission, kickstarter axle, etc. So I will post a picture of what this bike can look like, a picture of the previous owner. So I think at some point this bike will look like that. It just looks too good not to try it. He said it looks wonderful with the fairing, but it's a bit harder to drive because the previous owner did use it as on a daily basis. It's a bit more hassle with the fairing, but because I think this bike won't be a daily use, I think I might run it. But I've got it like this, and I will first try and test it like this. It's finally time. I've got my license plate, so I've got my gear on, and we maybe have half an hour of light left. So let's quickly take it for a spin, put in some fuel, and hopefully tomorrow we have a better day. So, just got back from its very first test drive, well, with me as a rider. It's a really interesting bike. The two-cylinder two-stroke is a rather interesting engine. Still have to get used to it. The gears are pretty long. If you go from second to third, there is actually a pretty large gap, but that's normal, apparently, with these bikes. There seems to be a kind of vibration in the steering wheel. At certain speeds, the front seems to hop around. Maybe there's a little dent in the rim. At first sight, it doesn't seem like it, but it sure feels like it. Or maybe there's something wrong with the springs and the forks. I will definitely ask the previous owner. There's also a really nasty drone at 3,500 RPM. I'm not sure where it comes from. Maybe it's also just a characteristic of this engine. I'm not sure. The rear brake This is way far. So you press it and then it's like, nope, nope, nope. And then, oh, okay, there we go. So that also needs some adjustment, but those are things we can all fix, no big deal. I think I will also reposition the angle of the levers a bit, because if you're sitting like this, but you have to twist your arm or your wrist pretty far to start braking. Same for the clutch. So maybe just a slight angle a bit more downwards, a bit like the Dream. These have a bigger angle down. But other than that, it's a pretty interesting bike, and I'm pretty happy with the purchase. I think I'm going to really like this thing after some cleanup and some minor fixes. I also think this it's in desperate need of some fresh oil, because the clutch is a bit sticky. It seems to, well, at first when I wanted to start it, after sitting for a couple of weeks, the clutch actually was stuck, and if you try to push start this thing, it's a bit annoying. So probably a fresh batch of oil, hopefully that fixes it, or maybe just more riding should fix it. But other than that, pretty happy. It's an interesting thing. Hopefully I can take it for a test drive tomorrow in some clear weather, not in the dark. The footage I've just shot probably looked like garbage. Sorry for that, but I will definitely get more riding shots of this thing. So thank you very much for watching. Definitely stay tuned for more on this bike. Get all the minor issues out and then just enjoy it a bit. And then maybe next year or towards the summer of next year we can build it in the racing mode. So definitely stay tuned, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.